Hey guys, welcome back to another voiceover. So for this voiceover, I'm gonna be working on the first panel for my new comic. Is gonna be about Bowser and Peach in the gym, and I thought up of a cute but sexy story. So this is the first panel, and as you can see, I'm trying something slightly new. So instead of doing proper clean line art, I thought I'd try to kind of stick with something a little faster, rougher. So as you can see, this was the initial idea. I even have a storyboard for the comic, which is kind of taking me back to my animation days where we had to do these for our like short film project for the final for a final project, which is like 90% of our grade. Um, so this brings me back. I did these short storyboards, so this is gonna be like the more safe for work portion, and then I have the naughtier stuff down below. So I grabbed my first panel, I enlarged it, and then I did a slightly more detailed sketch of what that might look like, and then And then on top of that, I sketched another version which is slightly cleaner, but still you can see a lot of rough areas. And here's Peach. So I put them all in separate layers. So the reason why I decided to do this instead of the proper clean line art is because I have a lot of panels for this project. So I wanted to see if I can pump these out a lot faster if I just like skip the line art phase. So we're just gonna try to see if I can get something done with this type of rough line art. And I'm gonna show you guys, I did a quick concept for this comic as well. So the idea is kind of humanize Bowser a little bit more, make him a bit hotter. Um, Kind of to please my female audience. I'm trying to do comic for both a male and female. So this is the rough idea, and then the idea for my last comic was that Bowsette is like the daughter of Peach and Bowser, which kind of makes sense a little bit. I think it could work. So yeah, I did that little extra Bowsette doodle on the very top. Alright, so after I got a concept done, I'm gonna use it for the first panel. So I bring up two references of what I have in mind. So you'll notice that this is from the movie Claws from Netflix. You can see this movie's color is just phenomenal and amazing and very inspirational. So I am going to try to learn from some of these screenshots. Or yeah, their colors are just really good and they're very cartoony and stylized, but yet very 3D. So this animation is completely in 2D, a traditional 2D animation, and they managed to I don't know how they did it. They have this technology that allows the animators slash or illustrators to paint like shading and stuff. So I thought it was awesome and the result is amazing. So if you are looking for some color inspiration, go check that film out. It's called Claus, like Santa Claus. Alright, so now that um, we got our reference, color reference, concept reference, a rough sketch. Alright, now that we have all that, uh, let's start trying stuff out. I'm gonna delete the rough sketch. So now comes the challenge. In order for me to fill this up all at once, we have to do that thing again where we find all the gaps and fill them. So since our line is quite rough, I can somewhat clean it up. I'll just focus on the outside of the sketch and not really on the inside where it's still pretty rough. The idea is to use the sketch as a base and later on paint over it. Okay. Hopefully it ends up working out, because if it does, then this will save me a lot of time. Yep. And I think by now I'm slightly more used to doing line art, which is make things a lot faster for me. So I will try my best to do more video process or speed paint, because, you know, nowadays you need to show that you're actually drawing these, or people think you use AI. So I have to kind of prove that, you know, I'm doing this, even though I kind of don't want to, but at the same time it's extra content. So it's a win-win situation, I guess. I make more goodies for you guys, and then, you know, alright. Let's outline the hair. And I'll say that this rougher looking line art looks quite good from afar, doesn't it? It feels like it has a lot of weight to it, even though once we zoom in, it is pretty messy. So this idea came about after I did the Frozen gym days with Elsa, my old couple that I used to ship a lot back in the days, Elsa and Jack Frost. And I thought, hey, let's do another Peach and Bowser couple pairing comic idea. So this is how it was decided, and also I just had in mind some stuff, and also I think that this is gonna help me get back into gym again. I'm not sure if you guys are also like this, but sometimes when I draw certain themes, like if I draw people working out and stuff, it's gonna make me want to work out too. So hopefully this is gonna help me with that. Alright, so let's test it out. Everything should be gap free, and it is gap free, although very messy. So we're just gonna go and kind of clean some areas up, because I'll still try to be careful with some of these areas, even though, you know, the line art is pretty messy. We can at least make sure the selection is a little better. Alright, so now that I selected the outer edge and also refine this slightly with the lasso tool, then once again we have to go select, modify, and expand by 2 to 3 pixels. I think I'm gonna do 2. Once that's done, it basically contract the selection to the curvature of the character, which is good, because if I don't do that, then you'll notice that sometimes there's a gap between the color and the lines. And I think you guys will understand a lot better if you start doing the same thing I've been doing. So yeah, let's inverse now, and then I'm going to use a plain gray for the base. So now I filled in Peach, and she's good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and create a group for her so that I can keep my layers as clean as possible, because it's gonna kind of get out of hand a little bit later. I just know it. Alright, so Bowser time. So as you can see, I didn't really sketch the inside of Bowser. Uh, once again, like Peach, we're just gonna zoom in and try to fix the outer edge so that we can do that trick with the lasso tool and all that. So we can kind of fill him in all at once. I'm just going to go through. Let's go through the silhouette. And try our best to keep it clean. I have to say though, doing more stylized work has been less stressful than fully rendered pieces because I don't have to worry about all the small details that I have to render out. With the more stylized piece, there's the freedom to kind of wing it a little bit, you could say. And people won't care as much because, it's stylized. And so there's a level of interpretation people will be able to do with fully rendered pieces. It's like solidified and a little rigid. And you know what? I used to like that. Like I like to put a lot of details in the past, but doing it for so many years has been getting uninspiring. And yeah. So this is why I did the change. I mean, I should probably make a post about it because no matter what, people will bring it up. I mean, it's been a whole drama. I didn't know it was like that serious to try to change up the style. But I think I will explain it to my Instagram. So hopefully that will clarify some stuff. Let's proceed to clean up the line art. I am super hoping that this technique or this workflow will be beneficial to making comics in the future. I mean, yeah, it's kind of fun to be honest. Pretty fun. And I've been talking to other people and they've been giving me ideas about spicy situations to draw in. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, maybe I should try to draw furry next. I don't know. I'm pretty open to different types of stuff as long as the art is good. But I do uh, kind of like some furry artists because their coloring is so bright and colorful and pretty, kind of like Pixar Disney color. And yeah, very nice. Even though, I'm not really into furries, but at the same time, I'm into the art. It's quite good. Alright, so now I have tried. Oh, wait, hold on. I did not look at the bottom area of this line art. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and try it out. We'll select the outer edge and see if it works. Select both sides here. Let's take the lasso tool, zoom in here to see if we can refine some of the rougher little edges that's sticking out because there's a lot of these sticking out since my lines are so rough. Oh, I totally forgot this part. Okay, there we go. Got it. And then just going to go over his whole silhouette. Alright, so it's looking good enough. Let's go to modify and expand to, just like Peach, invert, fill bucket, and fill Bowser in. There we go. So now we have Peach and we have Bowser. So this pose, I wanted to go for something cute You know, we start off with cute, slightly sexy, and then we move into the hardcore PORN. So yeah, that seems to be not getting me banned as much. So you know, if I have to create spicy content, gotta make some slightly more wholesome content as like the cover page, you could say. Okay, so there we have it. Next up is the background. So the background, what I'll do is I'm gonna go look for a gym photo. Inside the gym photo, and then I'm going to bring it in and then see what I can do using this reference as inspiration for the lighting. So I will be right back, guys. Once I find a photo, I'm gonna pop it in and I'll explain to you guys. Alright, so I went ahead and found kind of like two images that I want to see if it can work or not. So there's this one, which is the base. It was taken from a selfie photo, and I'm gonna have to like edit edit this a bit more so that it doesn't look like this at the end of it. But the reason why I picked this picture is because of the undertone color. And there's a cool tone and a warm tone color in this photo that I like, and I wanted to see if I can make it work somehow. I tried to put in this photo, but I don't think it fits, so I found another one, which is this. It it really needs to be worked on as well. I picked this because it had some good lighting to it. There's some intense lighting on the side here, which I can use later on if I choose to. And and then and then I wanted to try to see if I can make the background blue. The reason why is because Peach is gonna have pink themed clothing, and I wanted the background to sort of contrast her character. And that's why I'm going to be playing around with the idea of just changing the background color. So hopefully I can make that work somehow. So yeah, that is the background, um, quick background mock-up that I will probably later on work on. So yeah, in general, I just find some photos that I like and then I put the idea together, sort of deal. And on top of that, I can also play around with this, with the color balance and see if I can manage to create or enhance the color choices. So I'm going for warm tone and then cool tone for the background to emphasize on Peach's skin tone as well as Bowser because he's going to be pretty yellow, red, and green. So that's a lot of warm tone. So I need the background to be able to contrast that. Um, so hopefully I can make it work, and I should refer back to this because I need to get some inspiration. I want to make the background more cartoonish, more colorful like in Disney and Pixar. And yeah, I think looking at those concepts does help with switching my color palette from more of a realistic doll tone to a bit more cartoony and colorful. And that's what I'm aiming for. Um, so yeah, I have to play around with that somehow. So I'm gonna leave the Sorry, I was gonna say I'm gonna leave the background for now, and I will go ahead and work on Peach a bit. So I'm thinking, I will still do the usual with the colors. There we go. So what I'll do is we'll have the skin tone base, and since I already did my own little concept here, I will just be borrowing color from that, from my little concept. I think I might do this in the future as well, if it can help with just speeding things up. So now also I'm gonna look at this inspiration color palette from the movie Claws. So what I'm looking for is like, what is the pattern here for the shading? So the pattern is really, there's a lot of like highlight inside shadow type deal. And also there is a warm base and then a slightly cooler tone for the shadow, and then inside the shadow they add some warmer undertones to really make the shadow pop and not be as dark. And then we have a very nice gradient of a bit of warm tone between the shadow and the base. So that's what I'm getting from this reference, and that's what I'm going to be trying to replicate in general in the shading for my piece, and I have been doing so for my recent pieces as well, and that's why the style is a lot different from what I'm used to drawing. Is because I'm just trying to switch up the color. It's getting boring, so yeah. Let's go for this. And I'm gonna say the lighting is coming from the top left. The top left. So the shadow is gonna be towards the bottom right to contrast that. Alright, so that's what the plan is for now. So as you can see, dull color, this is the shadow, and so I will pick a slightly warmer tone, and then in Photoshop it's not as easy to do this, but in Paint Tool side you can do this a lot easier because the way it blends, it just does this automatically. But in Photoshop you have to do a little bit of tweaking, you know? I'm gonna start off with more of like a grayed out color. And this is not like locked in or anything. I can change it anytime. Like I think I might add a little bit of purple in there as well. And just because I've seen that pattern, like that color pattern a lot in this type of style, like Pixar slash Disney concept art style. So I will be kind of also switching up the color as I go. Let's go ahead and do a rough selection of her pants. So her pants are gonna be a nice pink with purple shadow undertones. I will just borrow it from what I've got already, and then it will have a purple undertone. And then I'm thinking about the color now, so this leg is gonna be raised up, so this leg right here is gonna be catching most of the light. So this leg will be brighter than the other leg. Ugh, the other leg is gonna be in shadow, so it's gonna have more, it's gonna be a little darker towards the bottom area as this leg on top casts shadow on the other leg. You can also try to think about it when you're kind of adding shadow. Like you can even talk to yourself about it. I know it sounds a little crazy, but sometimes it does help. If you do it enough of just thinking about it, at some point you don't really need to think about it. It just becomes natural. So I will go ahead and do a rough shading map. Pants. And then I'm gonna go ahead and select her top. And the top I decide to go with pink strap and a white top. Initially I was gonna go for a pink top, but I tried the color palette out and it did not really fit that well, so yeah, switched it up to white. And plus white kind of goes with her color palette as well, so she's wearing like white gloves, so I used that color theme. Top. And I'm just gonna go ahead and borrow from the little reference I did earlier. Have a bit of warm undertone inside the cooler shadow. I do know that this color palette, I see it in a lot of like Korean concept art for like a MMO Korean concept art, and also yes, it's just, I guess you could say it's a little bit different, but yeah. And of course you see it a lot in like Pixar slash Disney concept art. They're very good with these. So with my stylized art, I've been looking more at, you know, like Disney, Pixar, some furry artists because I like the color they use. And just in general, I'm looking at how other artists do their line art and stuff like that. And it's not always a bad thing to try to switch it up. I think it's more fun that way. Top skin now. Let's go ahead and do a quick base for her phone. And for her phone, I have to see what color would complement her outfit. Let's try with white. I mean, white is always good. It's neutral. Let's try pink. Maybe I'll go with pink, or I go with turquoise, which is like my favorite, one of my favorite color combinations is pink and turquoise. Very, very like pastel-y color inspired. Go back to the skin, and then I'm gonna go ahead and select her hair. After I do the base, I'm gonna see if I can paint, uh, go back to a bit of my old painting style on this piece. See how that works. Hair. I'm gonna grab my reference. Fill in the hair layer. Lock it. Grab the shadow. As you can see, I chose a more purplish color for the shadow. It just creates a more warmer feel. It's not too dark. It has a bit of a warm tone to it. I want to still be using a bit of the yellow as well. Let's add that shadow in. Zoom in. Let's go to the skin tone. I'm going to this should be okay for a shadow. This color palette reminds me of what I used to use back in the days as well, like before, maybe back when I was just starting out with digital art. I reference a lot of anime art back in the days, like there was no Instagram or anything, no Facebook either actually. So it was finding like resources was pretty hard. And so, it was like I referenced other artists in the community. I remember, yeah, I referenced this one artist, and they were like, I noticed that you're doing the same thing I am. We were in the same art circle actually, so I was like, okay, I'm sorry. So yeah, I tried other slightly different style, but definitely it was pretty hard to find resources. So yeah, I would spend like days. I was literally glued to my computer, just trying to figure out like how do you even paint with this program. Back in the days, it was the program was Photoshop. Photoshop was really, really bare bone compared to what it is now, and I used there was something called Oekake. I don't even know if I said it correctly, but it was like like a little server, and you have people join in the room, and you guys can draw together with pretty basic painting tools. And then there was Open Canvas, the the program before Paint Tool Sai, and there's Paint Tool Sai, and those were the programs I was using. Alrighty. Let me think about what type of shadow I should have for Peach. I do want her face to be illuminated, so I probably can't do too much. But maybe I can do something like this, maybe? Go back to my reference. Grab a bit of blue. I just need a tiny bit of blue just to give the whites of her eyes some volume. Add her iconic lashes. Add her pretty blue eyes. Let's go with multiply. Nope. Oh gosh. Okay, maybe not. I think I'm gonna have to fix the direction of where she's looking. She looks a little cross-eyed. I have to fix that. It's okay though. We're just putting it as a base. As long as you know she's cross-eyed, that I can fix. Add a dot of highlight. So this is gonna be like a base. I might change it up later, but for now we're just gonna use it as a base. And you know what? This is looking a little bit like Dragon Ball Z eyes. Add the cute lips. Let's go for more of like a natural lip color. I'm going back to the line, and slowly I will make the lines paler. Go back to the skin. I'm going to go ahead and do the earring, blocking those earring. Let's see if I can make it turquoise. That's Rosaline's color, turquoise. But it looks so good with pink. So this is a quick base for Peach. I have to also look at here like, wow, look how clean that shading is. That is so nice. I'm gonna try to do that if I can get like a clean shading like that, and I'll be happy. Oops. Alright, let's work on Bowser. So I'm going to work on Bowser a little bit differently. So let's get started with his hat. I think I can work on his hat. It's gonna be fast. It's like a small area too. So let's go ahead and select that. Copy paste. Oh, wait. Why did it do that? Okay, there we go. Hat. And I wanted his hat to be green. Let's go with the base color. I'm gonna put the lines in multiply and lower it a bit. I hope this works. So in order to create this effect, I'm thinking of a few ways how I might approach it. So first I'm going to use the lasso tool and then select the shadow for the hat. So let's say somewhat like that, and then the horn is probably gonna leave a bit of shadow on his head too. And then I'm gonna go maybe hue saturation, lower. Let's go with this. And then I'm going to kind of smudge the edge to create like that soft effect on the reference there. And then what else can I do? So now let's try this. I'll select this area, so the opposite, and then we're gonna go color balance. And then we'll do it this way to create the highlight, and then use the airbrush to slowly remove the highlight like that. I think, yeah, something like that. I think I might do re-render Peach using this sort of style. So now I'm gonna go into the hat and then put the emblem that I wanted, which was like I took a Starbucks logo and just put a star on it. So these were the photos that I was testing out. So let's go ahead and put that logo on his hat. Remove the two filters real quick. Alright, so pop those on. As you can see, it kind of looks like this. Probably could use more contrast. So I can try to do this, and then let's use, oh actually no, I'm gonna create another layer and then put it on overlay, and we're gonna overlay with a bit of yellow. So we have some of that rim light, or not rim light, but the bit of highlight inside the shadow, and I don't like this color, so I will go into hue saturation and just play around with the type of color I can do. I want to go for like a yellowish tone. Yeah, like that. Let's change the color for the cap to white, or should it be black? Not white. Or yellow. Okay, let's go with yellow, and then I'm going to also... Okay, that one, let's do silver. Create a new layer. These are gonna be silver rings. And after I'm done, I just merge everything down. Readjust some of the color. Add, let's go into overlay and add some gradient of a warm tone. Alright, I think I'm getting somewhere with this. Next, let's go ahead and do his muscle t-shirt, or muscle tank top. Muscle tank top. I'll just select it like that. Copy, paste. Oh wait, hold on, I forgot to Control C, and I have to hit Control Shift V to paste in place. Top. So we'll start off with a base, like before, and we'll go through that same process again. Lock it. Okay, so now I'm thinking about like how is the rest of him gonna be like in terms of lighting. So depending on that, the top shadow would be different. So let's say his head is gonna have a shadow, and then since he's leaning over, he's gonna have most of his body in shadow. So, and only this part, let's say only this area is gonna be highlighted. So I'll go ahead and do this. Oh wait, hold on. There we go. Hue saturation. Do the same effect. Lower the opacity. Oops. And once I have done that, I will just make some of the edges fuzzier slash softer, more airbrush. And of course I need to leave some of those edges sharp so it doesn't feel too overly photoshopped. And then we go ahead and do the opposite on the other end where there is highlight. Let's go with color balance, constraint down, highlight. I'm aiming for a warmer highlight. Let's go with that. Not too warm, not too cold of a highlight. I'll just keep that there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the shorts now. So I will select all the shorts, the parts that are copy, paste in place, shorts, lock it in. So his shorts I had in mind like a normal gray short. Now I have to imagine where the shadow will be for those shorts. So he's leaning over, but his shorts are not like, he's not like sticking his butt out or anything. So maybe I'll just give him some shadow towards this side, and with a bit of, actually I'll do Peach's drop down shadow on him separately because she might be moving a little bit. And then I will just select the rest of the shorts where I think some of the highlight will be at. Let's test this out. Hue saturation. Let's go for this color to start. It's a good thing I have the shadow applied with a filter, because this way I can always switch up the color for that filter in case I don't like it. Well, the negative would be that I require to keep more layers, so I can't just merge down, which is a little troublesome. Let's do this. Or maybe should I just go ahead and put all of that in shadow? Yeah, not too sure about that. Maybe I'll just leave it like that. Okay, I'll just leave it like that. And then we'll do the opposite again. Although maybe I don't need to do it as much. I'll just do it on the side only. Color balance, highlight. Go for more of a warmer color, mid-tone. Let's go with that. Okay, now let's do the skin tone now. Yes, actually, let's do the hair first. Whatever's covering the skin tone, let's do that. Copy, paste, lock it in. Once I have the base, I'm going to imagine where the shadow is going to be. The head is probably going to block the hair a little bit, so I imagine like this whole area will be in shadow. Like that. I'm gonna go for more of like a slightly purplish undertone. Let's select a little bit of that and let's erase a little bit of certain areas inside the shadow to create like that spiky hair texture. After that, I'm going to go ahead and add some highlight. So do the opposite color balance, and then let's go with I want the mid-tone to be more on the yellow side, like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead, give him a little hairband. It's gonna be black. I'm just going to merge down for the hair. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the mask. It's gonna be black. So the reason why I gave him a face mask is because it's gonna be easier if I don't have to draw his face. And plus it looks edgy and cool. So that is the reason. Let's do the mask and the armbands actually. I can't seem to stay within the lines. The next part now. Copy, paste, merge down. Fill it in. Zoom in a bit. Zoom in a bit so I can fill in some of these areas. Lock in. Grab this color. Since it's already there, might as well use it. Now, finally, I can work on the skin tone. I left the skin tone for last. I'm gonna go ahead and add his base color. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Okay. Now I will try my best to think about like where is the shadow gonna hit him. Okay, I might have to make some adjustments. So I will be selecting the first pass and then I will make corrections. So let's see, like that and like this. I think maybe a little bit here, a little bit here, like that maybe. Uh, okay, let's go with that for now. Hue saturation, darken. Ooh, he looks hot already. So for the shadow, I'm thinking I do want to make it a little bit on the cool side. Yes, this side. Maybe not that much. Like maybe like that. A little bit of a cool tone slash purple tone. Something like that. And then I'm going to use the lasso tool to help me create that soft edge you see in the reference. I'm gonna go through and carefully remove some areas. Hmm. Maybe the shadow might be a bit much. I have to further test it because it's not looking the way I think it should. So maybe his whole arm need to be in shadow, and then only a bit of his forearm is gonna have some highlight to it. Let's go back to the skin tone, and I'm going to make his chest area a bit paler. But I guess it's kind of hard to tell. Let's add a bit of that color towards the inner corner of his bicep. Hmm. Yeah, I need to work on him a bit more. I'll figure it out somehow. I guess I look for a super buff guy as reference. Alright, let's go. Well, add a tiny bit of highlight right here where his bicep will be pop. Catch some of that lighting. It's looking a little better. Well, at least his arm is looking a little better. I'm just going to experiment with bringing the shadow all the way up there. Okay. I think that looks okay. Actually, this side needs a bit of work. I'm going to let's bring back a bit more of the highlight underneath and then add the tiny bit of highlight on top of his bicep. And then on his elbow area, just targeting areas that is kind of protruding and catching the light above. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Let's highlight his chest a bit more. Add some drop down shadow from the hair, implied shadow. I guess his mask is kind of hard to read. Okay, now that that's done, next is the highlight. So I'll actually create a new layer for the highlight because I want to paint it on myself. That's actually, should I even? Or should I leave it to the effects? Let's do the effects then. Selecting only the area where I think the light is gonna hit the most, or it's gonna be where it's at the most intense. I will do color balance, highlight. Let's go for like a warmer color. I probably don't need it here then. Oh, that's crazy. That is definitely very warm. Might be a bit too hot. Let's tone the warm tone down. We'll have a little bit of it. Go back to this and tone it down. By toning down the warmness of the shadow, it enhances the highlight warmness. And I want to see if I can use the highlight to add that warmth inside the shadow. Well, this is certainly interesting. Alright, so now that I figured out some sort of flow to this technique, I'm gonna see if I can apply it to Peach too, and how that's gonna look. Let's go to Bowser. Let's work on his horn, because I haven't done much to it. His horn's gonna be a normal beige color. What color is it actually? Yeah, it's like white slash beige. So this should do it just fine. Aiming for a slightly cooler tone. There. Alright, so Bowser's done. Time to test Peach out. Let me re-render some of these area like the skin. I'm gonna go ahead and just reset the skin. And then create a new layer on top so that it can start all over again. Look at the inspiration a bit. Okay, I think I can do it like this. And then some shadow here, here, underneath the hair for sure. And then underneath the neck for sure. Underneath her armpit. Underneath her arm. And then underneath this part of the arm. Underneath that, that part of the arm. And then let's experiment with having, let's see, like this whole part of the arm in shadow. So I am highlighting the area where I think shadow might be. And it's gonna be like a guesstimation. And if I'm happy with it, I can keep it. If not, it's okay. I can edit it easily because it's only a filter or edit tool. So I can always go back to change it later. Still not sure how I'm going to shade the belly. Let's try this for now. Hue saturation. Let's go with that. Alright, now that I have the shadow, looking back and forth at the reference. Also, I'll pull up an image of Peach and how she looks in the movie because I am gonna use it as like a reference for her face shading. Mm, she doesn't have that much shadow underneath her eyes. So let's ease up on that part. In the meantime, I'm going to use a combination of the smudge tool and the erase tool to sculpt slash take off parts of the shadow. And just smooth some of these areas out. I'm going to elaborate on her abs a bit, her stomach area. I'm gonna try to see if I should. Might be a bit too much. I'll ease up on it. Should I have most of her ab in the shade? That's the question. I guess I'll have to experiment a bit with it. Let's say yes. If I do have most of her in the shadow on her stomach area. Uh, let's see if that would work. I'm going to add some shadow to her eyes. Blend in this area. Refining the shadow. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to actually go into the skin tone and let's bring it down a bit, and then what I'll do is kind of just brush this a slight warmer tan on, and I'm gonna focus around the highlighted part. It creates a little border like this, so it enhances the gradient of the shadow, thus creating something similar to this reference. And basically, I'm just trying to see where this is gonna take me, and hopefully I will like the result. Let's add a bit more. Actually, let's add a slight bit more color to the lips. And then for the mouth, inside of the eyes, her eye color. Let's add a bit of highlight to the eyes. I'll probably need to work on the eyes a bit later. Add a bit of emphasis on her eyelashes. Go here. I'm going to play around with the location for the shadow slash highlight. Add a bit of highlight around this area. And then here. I definitely need to change the shape of her eyes just ever so slightly. It's a little bit off. There we go. And then go back here. Go back to adding the shading. And then I'll go create a new layer, constrain down, so that I can add some highlight inside the shadow to break it down, to have it not so harsh in some of the areas. I might have to ease up on that area too, so there we go. It's a little bit better. Yeah, definitely need to lower her eyes. I'm going to have to fix it later. Then, like the reference, they focus very warm light on parts of the extremities. So let's go ahead and do something similar. I'm going to use overlay. Pick a peachy color. And then I will just enhance her extremities. Okay, it doesn't really work as well on the fingertips, so we need to revisit. What about color? Okay, let's use color. Works a little bit, not as much as I would hope, but let's go with that for now. Oh god. It kind of enhances certain area, but it does not cover the area that I want. So I'm gonna create a new layer. There's gonna be a lot of layers. Focus on the extremities, make it warmer. Okay, let's go with that. Looking nice. Although rough, but in general it's looking nice. Let's go to the pants. Let's go ahead and do the same revamp to the pants. So at this point I like how I did the skin, so I will just merge down the reset layer. Let's go to the pants, make a reset layer, which is just a flat color. Yeah, flat color, this color. And then we'll do the same method once again. So keeping in mind the new lighting for Peach on her abs, I have to slightly alter the shading pattern for her pants. So yeah, maybe like that. I can have a little bit emphasizing her hips on the side. Hue saturation. Aiming for a purple-ish undertone. Next up is just to work on that shadow. So sometimes, you know, after you play around with the program, sometimes you'll be able to figure out like, okay, what is a good way of achieving that result? So you'll know sort of what to do. The more you know about the program you're using. Let's go with this. Okay, now that I have that, I'll go back to the base layer, and once again I'm going to use the airbrush, enhance the shadow especially. I might want to, let's kind of ease this shadow slash highlight inward a bit more. And then add a sharp cut here. I'm gonna have to bring the highlight for the other leg all the way down. Let's have a sharp cut here. Let's see. I'll have to experiment on that part. Mm, okay, let's go with that. I think the bulge here might need to be changed, but for now, let's just go with it. Actually, I want to try something. Let's do this. Wonder if I can add a tiny hip shadow. Let's add a tiny bit of highlight there. If I just ease up on the shadow around this area, in that area. Okay, and then I'm going to lower that. And then go back here. Oh. Let's try this. I think, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think I will keep that. Let's add a bit of highlight towards the bottom here. Okay, merge down now. Oh, before that, I did want to add like a white border, a design element to her pants. I wonder if I should put one here or not. Well, it does certainly add something. Maybe I'll keep it. Okay. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and create that, the highlight layer. Not hue, saturation, color balance. Bring it up. Lower the opacity. Alright, so that's done. Merge down. That's her phone. Her phone. Let's just go with a simple darken. And then the hair now. I'm going to reset it. Let's have a look at the reference here. So that's how they do it. Alright, so I'm using my brain so much right now. I'm just thinking, okay, where is the shadow gonna be? And I have to use the lasso tool to select those areas. So my brain is like working a lot right now. Let's say this part. I guess this whole area is gonna be shaded. I might edit it out later. Edit some of the shadow out. Okay, where else? Where else? Here's saturation. Aiming for, let's go with this. So now I have a base to work from. I'm going to adjust the area in which there's shadow now. Let's add a tiny bit of highlight right here. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's go into the base layer. Bring it down a bit. I'm going to emphasize parts of the shadow now. After doing that, I will just contour the hair. And then, oh, my alarm. Let's go for like a pink hairband. That's kind of her thing. And then after that, there is a, okay, they use like another layer for the highlight, so I will do the same. I'm going to pick the area where I think highlight's gonna hit the most. Let's try these areas. Color balance. Might be a bit too bright. Let's go to mid-tone. I should put this here. Wow, yeah, that might be a bit too bright. Okay, let's tone it down. Let's keep it there. Create a new layer. I'm going to go ahead and let's use a bit of that color. We're just going to use it to ease the shadow a bit. Alright, so that's what we have. Yeah, everything is very warm tone, so I think the next thing I'm gonna do is just figure out a way to tone everything down a bit more. So at this point, I'll just merge all the effects. Merge, merge, merge everything into one single layer. Alright. Copy, step, paste. That might have been a bit of a big leap. Big leap. I'm playing around with the background color to see what fits better. And should I make the background a bit brighter up top or darker? Darker would make them stand out a lot more. Now that that's done, let me try something. Normal hue saturation, constrain the layer down. Let's take the blue, let's do dark. Or not dark, multiply. Oh no, I totally forgot to do her top. Her top is important. So I'm looking at the reference and I'm thinking this whole area. Let me turn it down or darken it. Take a bit of the skin tone. I'm gonna use it as like a bit of a just to not have the shadow be too dark. Yes, that's it. Looking at that, grab a bit of the yellow. Gonna have it between the base color and the shadow. Grab the pink. That looks a bit better. It fits fits the other parts of her a bit more. And then I'm going to intensify that area. Actually, let's use the mid-tone. Or not. Okay, I will leave it alone for now. Back to adding another layer of color. Lower that. Let's increase the color for the shadow. Grab a bit of the shadow. I'm going to place it in certain areas. Mostly in areas where it just needs that extra bit of shadow, drop down shadow. Might be a bit too dark, so let me bring it up a bit more. Let's go with purple. More of a purple. And then we'll make the corrections. There we go. Alright, so yeah, something like that. Let's create a new layer now. And let's do lighten. And for this one, we're just going to lighten the top portion of her. Looks a little washed out. Let's go ahead, up the saturation, tone down the brightness. This is just to give a bit of variation in shadow, so everything doesn't look like the same darkness, same level of darkness. Let's go here. I'm gonna add a slight bit of pink underneath. Lower, or actually I can play around with the different layer modes that Photoshop has. Let's go with lighten then. Alright, so this is the edit. It just change, how do you say, soften up the general piece a bit by having a gradient in the shadow and the highlight. Okay. Welcome back, guys. So, I took a couple of days off from working on this comic to work on my other one, and then I came back. But while working on the other one, I kind of tried a few different approaches. One I'm going to show you guys right now. So I decided to use grayscale to help me a little bit. So I'll show you guys how. So this is what I have, picking up from the last part of the voiceover, and then I incorporated a little bit of grayscale to help me out. So first what I did was I applied the grayscale, which means I use the hue saturation and basically drag the saturation all the way to -100, which turns all the colors grayscale. So as you can see, this is how it looks. And then after, I started adding a little bit more shadow to see if I can improve things. So this is the first shadow I added. It's supposed to be also in grayscale, like this. And then I added a little bit of highlight. I'll just put it in grayscale just to demonstrate. And last but not least, this is also supposed to be in grayscale, but as you can see, oh, so this is how it is currently without any tweaks to the highlight slash shadow after I turn everything gray. And then I decided to add a little bit more shadow and a little bit more highlight. So if I just simply remove the grayscale application, the edit, this is without the highlight slash shadow add-on, and this is with. With, it helps with the contrast a little bit more. But of course, since, you know, the shadow and the highlight is gray in tone, after, after I decide okay, I like this this new addition with the grayscale, then I go into the shadow portion and then I can basically play around with the color of the shadow to see if I can make it work. So I just change the color of the shadow through color balance, pick one that I kind of like. Uh, this one's kind of neat. I do a little bit of a before and after. Go into the highlight and we can do the same thing, or we can lock it in and simply, let's say, yellow, and use color mode to affect the color of the highlight. And let's go with a beige tone for the arm part. This is the highlight edit using the grayscale, and this is what I have with everything together. And I can do a little before and after. This is before the addition of the grayscale adjustment, and then I changed the grayscale to color, and this is with the change. So as you can see, it does help a little bit to enhance the volume and the slash highlight slash shadow. So I have been working a lot with line art and just kind of experimenting a lot with different style of workflow. So this is one thing that I kind of stumbled upon. I'm sure a lot of other artists use it already. I just got around to it. I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd share with you guys in case, you're kind of like me on your discovery journey of like what kind of workflow you like. So yeah, try that out. Use the grayscale. Before, I haven't exactly had the chance, you could say, to experiment with different workflows since I was so locked into just like the normal rendering stuff that I haven't gotten around to it. So now that I started line art, I started to test different ways of doing things. Definitely been more fun. It kind of brings me back to the old days where I was trying to just get better at digital painting, and this is one way to do it, just try a bunch of stuff. So right now I am simply basically applying all the changes to each of the layers. It's a little tedious. You just have to duplicate all the effects and then just apply them to every single layer. So that was a little bit, a little bit tedious, but we got that done. So now that I have the base, as you can see, it's pretty messy. The lines, the line work's not the best. I suppose now I should I should just kind of go through each of them and just improve the look of it. I've seen an artist that I like. What he does is, you know, his stuff is pretty rough and he'll kind of work through it. And basically, maybe I should also do the same thing. Like if I want to still have the line art be a focus of this piece, I would go through each part of her and just do that. But I'm thinking of what I'm going to do. Alright guys, you know what I will do? I think I want to go for a slightly more render look for this piece, so what I'll do is let's kind of copy the lines and apply it to each of each of the layers, and try our best to refine it. Basically, yeah, that's what I think I will do. So first off is the phone. There isn't too much to be working on for the phone. I will just fix the shape up a little bit, maybe. So let's just go ahead and paint. And also, oh gosh, okay. I see how it is. Also, I've decided to stick with Photoshop for most of this process. Before I was using a little bit of Paint Tool SAI, but I did notice Paint Tool SAI, you know, if I want to do like solid rendering style, kind of like um, more refined rendering style, Paint Tool SAI is a little bit hard for that. So Photoshop is still good for that. So I have been just testing out that theory and going back to Photoshop for a while, guys. So after that, maybe I can also add a bit of line work. Kind of faking it a bit. Although I do think the hands need to be on a separate layer. But for now, let's go with that. Pants. Let's duplicate our line. Constrain it to the pants layer. Before that, I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to experiment a little bit here. What if I go back in and redo the lines, but do it a little bit cleaner? This is like a cheat. Although my lines is, you know, not the cleanest, but now it's gonna be after I redo them. It's, it's a little bit hard here, but I'll try to make it a clean transition. So this workflow is, I'm still not as fast as I wish to be with it. Hopefully I can get used to this and be able to do this a little bit faster. The plan is to be able to make comic, and then if I'm fast enough, I can have some time to do a bit more rendered stuff. Alright, let's zoom out here. So the lines, I made it a lot cleaner for sure. Okay. I'm going to create a window, arrange, new window. This is going to be like my little preview on my secondary screen so I can look at it while I work on this. Now that that's done, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to do a little bit of rendering, not too much. So I went to see the newest Spider-Verse movie. What was the name again? It was the newest one. It's the second one in the series, and I have to say the art style, I believe they definitely improved it. It is way more stylized, way more, it feels like a painted illustration, and I would like to use some of that in this piece. I want it to be, like stylized but rendered at the same time. So that is the goal for this piece. Although I don't think I can achieve that because right now my thing is looking pretty rendered. Let's add some lines. I guess if I just stick with if I just incorporate a bit of the lines in this piece, maybe it will still read as comic-like, but at the same time more rendered. Let's give it a try. But I definitely really, really like the movie, and the style of it was really very inspiring. It looks a little bit too rendered for my liking. Let's add some of this shadow. And I think I would like to make this part not as bright. Yeah, something a bit less less uh less bright, I guess. And here let's go with the blue tone. Having the line art still there definitely helps. Go through these lines. I want to make them more blue in tone. It's to contrast the pink. Blue and pink usually go pretty well together, so. Okay, after that, I wanna add a bit of highlight towards the top. And add a bit of highlights here. Okay, I need to also work on this skin at the same time for that to work, so I'm gonna copy the lines, constrain it down. Brighten up the stomach area. to this one. I'm going to rotate. Looks like a lot of this needs to be evened out. Definitely not as even as I would like it to be. I'm just sculpting out the new shadow slash highlight part. Maybe I should just leave it alone. Okay, let's just... I guess I will do that then. Go with this. Merge everything down. And I just have to look for a reference to base this off of. Okay, let's go to the pants. Actually, before that, I'm going to delete this whole part for this layer right here. Okay, and then I have the pants. I'm going to move it around a little bit. This is where I start looking at the posture. You know, sometimes I want to change it up a bit. Flip back. Create a new layer. Create a new layer and then I'm going to reshade it a bit. This is on a separate layer, so you know I can easily go back. Take this, copy paste. This is the new shading kind of. Go to pants. I'm going to adjust the silhouette, go to the skin layer, top. I need to duplicate the lines, put it, constrain it to the top layer, and then I'm going to move it upward a bit. It's getting a little messy, but we will fix that. Bring it up. And I'm just going to re-shade parts of this. Let's rotate back. Rotate back. Alright. Make some changes. Hmm. Let's fix the shading here a bit. Go over here and adjust based on the shading on the stomach. Bring this down. And maybe I need to work on the cut of this too. I'm gonna save a copy for backup. Copy the new version. Let's go here to the stomach part, merge down. Going to play around with the stomach portion. This should be, the hair should be on a separate layer, but I have to work on that a little later. Alright, let's see how that looks. Let me ease up on the shadow for that leg. Move the leg out a bit. And move it around just to see if I can get a better result. Okay, what else can I do? This is the top. I need to copy the hand part. And then have it on top of everything. Cut hands. Okay, so slowly I have to recut layers and stuff like that. Let's go right here. Almost re-render some of these areas. Bring that part up. Mm, let's go ahead. I'm gonna select just these. Cut, paste, back hair. And then I'll go ahead and clean up the janky parts. Since I'm doing it in a line art where there's a lot of areas I have to reposition and also clean up before I can start rendering. That is why it's kind of messy right now. But I want to at least render out this part. So I'm gonna spend some extra time cleaning areas out. I'm going to do a bit of a fake line, so I'll just select the corner and darken them just to give the impression of lines being used. This will also help me with the waist shape so I can get an idea of how I can possibly shape it to match the pants, you could say. Go back to the pants, reshape the pants. Liquefy. I'm going to flip again. Okay, so this definitely feels better. So now I'll move this over a bit. See if I can make her have a more of a S curve, so oh wait, hold on. I would need her shoulder to be a bit more. Okay, I can't really work on the posture just yet. In order to do that, I need to cut a few more layers onto separate, cut a few more parts into separate layers. Yeah. Let's see if I can move around some other parts. Let's go back to this. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, go back to this version after liquefying. Yep. Before I do that, I'm going to add the lines to the rest of her. Okay, I did for most of these, I think, so yeah. I'll just keep the lines here as a backup. Okay. Now I'm just going to separate cut face. I'll just separate all of these. Head, group, face, earring, hair. Separate all the head layers into their own individual layers. Cut, paste. I need to cut all of these areas. Okay, and then put in the back, delete, and delete. So this is my back hair now. Choker, top, top torso. Okay, I think I cut all the layers into their own, cut all the parts into their own layers now. Top, choker, go here. Now I can kind of have a bit more freedom with repositioning her whole body basically. So I can play around with the pose a bit more. I didn't really like the initial pose as much. So now I can play around with that. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and play around with the pose until I'm happy with one, and then once we lock down onto that one, then we start rendering stuff out a bit more. Let's go over here actually. There's this new thing that I discovered. It's called, where is it? Here we go, Puppet Warp. It's kind of like what's it called? The regular Liquify, except you can position these little nodes and then you can kind of move them around like this. So they're good for if you want to move limbs. So I guess I'll move the shoulder down, the shoulder up a little bit, shoulder down a bit more. Oh, I need another node here to secure it. So there's a lot of uh, good editing options there. Uh, I'm just trying to get a nice S-curve composition for her pose. There's gonna be a lot of moving, limbs moving and stuff. Let's go with that over here a bit more. Move the waist this way. The back here. Flip over again. I should probably remove Bowser for now. Or, yeah, I have Bowser there. Let's go with Puppet Warp. Oops. Going to the torso. Yeah, where's the waist? Oh. Go to the top layer, adjust it. I'm going to have this on a separate layer. Waist and pants. That way I can just change these. Nope, the thigh gap doesn't look that great. Bring this up a bit. Why are gym pants? They're supposed to be easy, but they're so difficult for me anyways. Okay, I think I like this pose. Okay, let's go in for a closer inspection now. You know what? I'm feeling a little lazy. I'm going to bring this into just making sure. Oh crap, I still need to edit this. I need to apply these effects on Bowser before I move on to Paint Tool side, because Paint Tool side doesn't have this function, so when I bring this into Paint Tool side, the effect, this effect right here, it's going to disappear. So before that happens, I'm going to simply apply his effects first in Photoshop. So I'm going to copy this effect and apply it to each of his layers. If only there was a script for something like this. What's this? Okay, his armband. Almost done. There we go. And then one more. Bam! There we go. All done. Alright. Gonna save. And then I will bring this into Paint Tool side. Actually, first I have to apply these layers too, because those are effects for the background that cannot be, that Paint Tool side doesn't have those functions, so gotta merge everything down before I import it into Paint Tool side. Alright. I have successfully opened this file in Paint Tool side. Now, let's get some practice in on this program. Let's start off with the torso. I know Paint Tool side has really good blending functions, so I'm just going to, just gonna make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of that and start blending stuff in. Let me go with the bristle brush. The reason why I'm going with the bristle brush because it's a little bit more similar to the solid round brush in terms of conserving the original color. And then I'll go into the watercolor brush to blend it in, because it's most similar to the smudge tool in Photoshop when you set it, when you use the scatter function on it. Oh, where is the small preview? Okay, I got my small preview here. I'm just moving it onto my secondary screen so I can keep an eye on it. So what I'm thinking is, what if I kind of render it out in Paint Tool SAI, you know, kind of blend most of it and import it into Photoshop and do a little bit of a bit more rendering, but by then I'll have most of this blended in, so it won't be as if I have to start from scratch. Blend it in starting from scratch. I mean, let me zoom in here a bit. Tackle that belly button. Go into color, watercolor. Let's also make use of the lasso tool, although I still haven't figured out how to add on into the selection. But if I do know how to do that, it's gonna make things a lot easier. But for now, I don't know how to do that, so only one selection at a time. Make the brush a little bigger so I can blend it out easier. Using the lasso tool, clean up some of these side. I'm going to, let's go down a little bit. I'm going to fake line it to keep that style. I'm going to use the lasso tool again to help me keep some of the sharpness once I do these. Using the air color brush, blend that in. Let's go into, actually no, airbrush. I'm gonna pick this color and then bring it over a little bit. Adding some highlight in this area. Using the watercolor once again to soften that up. But at the same time, I must make sure to keep some of the edges sharp, just like when you use airbrush in Photoshop. If I don't maintain some sort of sharp edges, it's gonna look overly soft, and it's kind of the same concept with this. So now I do a little bit of a flip. Okay, it's actually looking pretty good, kind of. I usually don't like to say it's looking pretty good because, you know, I believe in the whole, oh, I jinxed it thing, so. Alright, so I quickly rendered out the waist, going to the pants part now. Let's go ahead and see what we can do here. So sometimes I like to just kind of copy the layer just in case, because you never know, maybe I'll F it up a little bit. So in that case, I like to have a little bit of a backup. I have a copy of the initial layer so that I can sort of render it out in this program, and if I don't like how I rendered it out, I can always go back to a previous version, you know? Ooh, I definitely like how fast it is to blend in this program. Photoshop is good for creating the colors and the base and all that, and then Paint Tool SAI is pretty good at just blending stuff in. Also, I like how Paint Tool SAI how they blend in the colors. Sometimes in Photoshop I feel like I'm losing some colors just purely by blending. That's just how the program is, but Paint Toolside has, I'm not sure, it feels like it has a different way of interpreting colors or something like that. So I don't lose as much color as I would in Photoshop when I blend stuff in. It's hard to explain, but I just feel I think I can keep the colors a bit more vibrant using Paint Tool SAI. That's, I guess, the simplest way of putting it. Okay, let's do pencil. Pencil is similar to solid round brush. It helps me, you can use it to, I guess, in a way, make, um, use it as like a way to block in the shape, something like that. And then going to brush, which is, I would say, very similar to watercolor with how blendy it is, but I find that in the bristle setting it is a little better at maintaining the color you picked. Let's add some hips. So this initial piece, the line art for this piece was not very good. The line art was very rough. So that's why I think in the end I prefer to just paint. But you'll see with my a few pieces in of using line art, my line art has gotten a little bit better, a little cleaner. So we'll see how if I still need to do this, as in cutting all the layers. I mean, all the parts of the character and then having to reposition and stuff, and yeah. I'm gonna use a slightly bigger brush. When the brush is bigger, it tends to be able to, I find, blend better. Using the lasso tool to help me keep some of this area nice and sharp. Deselect. Let's do a sharp edge. And then I'm going to clean the edge up. Alright, I think it's getting somewhere. Maybe I need to ease up on the hip, so when I bring this back into Photoshop, I'll kind of move her hips inward a bit. Don't want her to have hips that are a bit too big for her. Maybe I can cut away, cut away a bit of it. I just have to look at the small preview. And then, okay, I think that might work. Let's flip over briefly. Let me just save real quick. And then we're just going to bring it into Photoshop. After that I have more choices in how I can edit this part, because now in Photoshop we have the warping tool, which I can warp parts of her. Let's go to the pants now. Let's warp the pants a bit. Let me grab the waist and the pants, bring it down a bit. Bring that down and then bring the pants up. Okay, where's the waist? The waist is here. Zoom out. Okay, hold on, let's go back a little bit. Go back to how it was. There we go. And I'm gonna try this time. This time I'm going to, let's copy that, liquify. This time I'll just try to reduce the distance between the waistband and the crotch. And after I do that, I bring it up a bit. Okay, I think that looks a lot tighter. Yeah, it looks a bit better now. I still want to somewhat exaggerate her waist, her waist somewhat. So I suppose what I'll do next, take the waist, copy the top portion, drag it down. This part is purely experimental. Okay. Let's take both the pants and the waist layer now. Make it a little bigger. And then in the waist part, the waist layer, let me see how much I can push it. I don't know how cinch I can make her waist before it start looking weird. So let's go ahead and test that theory. I want to push that Barbie aesthetic. Might be a bit too cinched. Let's bring this out a bit. Go to the pants, reposition. That is definitely cinched. I will probably be playing around with it a bit more, especially, let's see, the torso part for sure. Let me bring the head up a bit for the torso now. Okay, maybe the waist might be a bit too cinched. I won't know until I finish rendering the torso though. Bring down that part. Bring down the choker. Bring bring the head down now. Bring Peach up. Let's go ahead and flip. Let's check it out. Okay, it's getting there, but yeah, definitely need to keep working on it. So right now, the leg is a little bit uneven for my liking. I think the best way for me to adjust that is have this leg on a separate layer. Now that this leg is on a separate layer, I can kind of pose her a little bit more freely now. Bring this like that. Go into the waist. Gonna warp her waist a bit. Okay, just some more moving stuff around, I guess. Nothing really much to explain except, you know, when you get a little bit too into moving stuff around, like you're not, you know, you're not exactly happy with how it's looking, so you try a bunch of stuff. That's where I'm at. And in addition to that, we move things around a couple of times until we are happy with it. I'm going to make a group especially for pants, because the amount of pants layer I have is getting out of hand. And if I have a group, it's going to look a little cleaner, so. Alright, let's save. Go back to this. Update the file. So this is the change. Okay, so I'm gonna leave these for now, and let's go ahead and slowly tackle the torso. Okay, so let's see. Let's do copy layer. So I have my original version, and then this is gonna be the new version, so that we're gonna work on the duplicate version, so that, you know, just in case we have the old version too. Before I do that, I should fill in some of the pixels in the back here. Actually, can I can I even, I could probably even render it out slightly. Let's use the bristle brush. I'm gonna try to maintain that stylized spiky hair look for Peach. With just a bit more rendering done. That blend is so good. Of course, you know, if we do this too much, it's going to also create a bit of a mess. So I will just do a little bit of manual painting and then a bit of blurring and then back and forth. Let's use watercolor. Down here, let's go with pencil, which is the same as solid round brush almost. Especially when I need to fill in some empty areas, or if I want to change the silhouette, pencil brush I think is the best for that. For blending, it's the other two. Okay, let's see. I think it's blended in the hair slightly. See? It's not too bad now. Well, it's still got a little bit of small areas that needs to be touched up, but in general, it's looking a lot nicer. Now, if I were to do this with Photoshop, it would take a little bit longer. Let's go back to the torso now that I touched up the hair. Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Ugh. I can't add on to my selection, so I have to select everything I want in one shot. Alright, so go to the top. I need to also edit the top a little bit, as you can see. I'll just briefly work on it. The deformation tool, like warping on Photoshop, is not as good on paint tool size. You can see the options are pretty limited, so we'll make do with what we can. Flip. Actually, I shouldn't have. Okay, I shouldn't have deleted that strap, so I need to reposition. So as you can see, there's no warp or anything in this program. There is this. Basically, that's the extent of that. Okay. Anyways, let's proceed to fill in some of these empty areas. Zoom out real quick. Let's have a look. Go back to the torso now. Use the watercolor. I'm gonna start by blending in some of the colors that's already there. And it's fairly easy. It's almost like using the smudge tool on Photoshop, but I would say this is better. And in order to change up some of the anatomy, I'm going in with the brush tool, fixing up some of the shading parts. So I imagine if I was a little bit better at line art and positioned the lighting better, I could just use paint tool side purely just blending some of the areas in and I would call it a day. But since I wasn't the most careful with my line art phase and the blocking phase, then I use this program to fix some of the mistakes. But at least it's good at blending, so it's still okay. So let me zoom out every now and then. I want to move this. Move this a bit. Deform. Mm, let me see. Let's see. Let's see. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do now. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to zoom in for a sec here. Let's start by adding some shadow and whatnot. And let me go ahead and add a little bit more highlight towards the top of her elbow using the lasso tool. I'm gonna use it to help me shade the armpit here. So it'll be similar to this side. Using the lasso tool, I'm going to select this side and let's do some painting. Let's use this to blur / blend. Flip. Zoom out real quick. Let me have a look. Okay. It is getting there. Same with the other side now. Grab some of the color that's already there and use it. At the same time, cleaning areas up. Oh wait, I kind of destroyed the vibrance there, so undo. Let's go into watercolor, blend some of the areas out. Zoom out, let's see how it's looking. I'm going to remove that part. It's getting there, it's definitely getting there. I would actually like to import this into Photoshop so that it's easier to move parts around, because I would like to move some parts around. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Use the color, watercolor, smooth some of these areas. Oh, let's go ahead and zoom out. Okay, next, let's take the pencil, bring this up a bit, bring this up a bit, and then watercolor it. Zoom out, let's see how that's looking. Not bad, not bad. Safe. Alright, so I rendered out the torso quite a bit. This is before, this is after. I guess it's not that much, but hey. I rendered it out somewhat and it's looking better. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the original file so that we have only the new torso file that we worked on. And I think what I'll do is just kind of go through all the layers and render out a little bit, bring it into Photoshop, and then edit away a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and work on the top now. Let's go ahead and switch to watercolor. Blur it a bit. I never really try to blend with this brush because it is so blendy. Go into brush. And then we'll just blend this in. Alright, let's go ahead and flip. Flip every now and then so that I can see if there's anything too weird going on. I can fix it up before it gets worse and stuff. Bring up the shadow a bit. Oh. Bring it up just a little bit. Try my best to blend it slightly, and then we'll then use the watercolor to kind of just smooth those areas out. Using the lasso tool. So that I can keep some areas nice and sharp. Zoom out real quick. Let's have a look like what's going on. Okay, I think the basic render is there. I just want to do a bunch of editing, moving things around. I gotta save that for Photoshop because it's easier to do on there. I'll just try my best to clean this part up. Haven't really used the erase tool much. Go back to torso. Just wanna add extra bit of pixel on the side there. Delete. Put the choker back. Wait. Unlock it and then delete. This could be a bit more colorful. There. Oh yeah, I can, let's do a little editing. See how bright we can get this pink. Okay, now let's move on to the phone real quick. I just basically want to fill in some of these areas. Just kind of fill that in. Because now we have the hands on a separate layer. So yeah, there's a lot of empty spots here. Okay, let's put the arms back. Same thing, copy layer. My backup hands layer, this is the new hands layer, and then slowly we will just we will just refine this hand. Okay, probably not. Let's not start off with that. Let's go ahead and use brush. And I'll just slowly blend this in. Switch to airbrush. Oh, sorry, not airbrush. Watercolor. Grab the grab, actually before that, let's flip over. Grab this color. And I'm going to slightly readjust the colors for here. So let's do it like that. Copy paste. And I guess that should do. Just gonna borrow some of the color from the other side. It's looking kind of janky. That's okay though. We'll just slowly but surely blend it in. Alright, so roughly finish the shading. And then after I do that, I have to do another pass of it. A cleaner pass. Use watercolor. First pass. Flip. Wow, it's looking real crazy right now. Flip. Let's go ahead and blend. Blend and fix and blend and fix. March down. Onto the other hand. Let's grab a bit of this color. Use the water, the watercolor, quick blend. I think this hand needs to be a little bit smaller though. Use the pencil. Slowly trim down the finger size so that I can make it a bit more delicate looking. Oh god, nope. Bit by bit. I'm also just gonna move fingers around if I feel that it's needed. This finger could probably be moved. Yep, it's starting to look better. Zoom out here. Let's go to the other side, the other finger. Let's go ahead and blend it. Blend it, and then actually use lasso tool. Slowly sculpt the fingers. This finger is supposed to be the longest. Slowly but surely. Flip again. Let's grab this. Then I will just line the fingers. There. Let's use the watercolor. Blend. Zoom out again. Let's see. Let's go ahead and clean up this finger right here. Delete. Use the airbrush for a sec. I'm going to use the airbrush to slightly render out the hand, although with airbrush it does turn more on the soft side, so probably go back in later to adjust the some of the area so that it's not overly airbrush looking or too soft looking. Using the lasso tool. Over here now, let's use the not the air, the watercolor blend some of this area in. Okay, the hand needs work, but I think I would like to adjust them a little bit beforehand. So let's go to the head layer. So I want to redo these earrings. Let's go ahead onto the hair. I'll just blend them in first. Alright, so now that it's blended in, let's incorporate some lines. Take a bit of that color, shadow color. Also, I want to make sure, okay, there we go. So I know which part of the hair I'm working on. Back to watercolor. Let's up the watercolor a bit. I'm going to clean out some of the silhouette. Let's go switch to pencil now. Pencil tool to add just a tiny bit of that hair texture. Zoom out, flip. Zoom out every now and then so I can see what's happening, and then I'll blend it in a little bit more after. Remove that. Okay. I want to make this part go down a bit more. Come on. And I'm going to just blend it in once again. That should be blended enough. Let me move the earrings down for now so I can have a better look at what's going on with the face. Face, I'm going to first back it up. Just gonna copy that. Let's do a bit of blending first with the watercolor. Over here, I'm gonna use a high pink just to give it a bit of that subsurface scattering effect. Use the airbrush. I'm gonna, let's see, let's add some more of this towards this side of things. Zoom out. Is her eyes too open? That is the question. I might adjust her eyes later on in Photoshop because right now it's hard to do so in this program. Zoom out a bit. Gonna bring down her lashes. Oh yeah, definitely need to readjust readjust the eyes. Use the pencil. Let's see if I can add some lower lashes. Zoom out. Use water color. Blend it out, and then I have to kind of look at the Princess Peach movie, I mean the Mario movie, and see how, you know, how they modeled her and how she looks in the movie. Just so I can have a good reference for like her 3D look. Okay. I'm just getting ah, just pulling up a reference for her from the movie. Screenshot. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Create a new layer. Use the brush. Extend the highlight over a bit. As for the nose, I do want to keep it simple, so let's give her like one of those anime nose. Tiny, tiny nostrils. Yes, tiny nostrils. So it should be obvious, but I've noticed that, you know, when it comes to these type of styles, more on the Eastern side, like the anime side, the focus is mainly the eyes and the rest of the face is quite not as exaggerated or pronounced as the eyes. And so I've been struggling to transition my style to more like that and less semi-realistic or realism. So that's the goal that I give myself. Okay. Let's go ahead, make the pupils a little bit bigger. And then inside these pupils, we get the tiny, tiny highlights based on the reference. Let's see how that works. Okay, I guess. That's actually not too bad. I just have to make her eyes a little bit less wide, and it'll be good. I think. Let's give her Cupid's bow, because based on the movie, she has a tiny bit of it. But actually, maybe not. Let's give her the anime teeth look. Let's go pick a slightly pinkier color. Fix her chin, although I need to extend her jawline just a tiny bit. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and blur it. Use the watercolor. smooth out. Welcome back, guys. So as you can see, I rendered Peach up quite a bit, and I also did a bit of work on Bowser. Sadly, I recorded it, but the file was corrupt, so I had to reset my recording software. So I missed the part where I was working on his hair. As you can see, I was in the middle of rendering it. But yeah, let's just take it from there and continue. Um, Nothing too new, just still working with the same tool and trying to get used to it. So I'm gonna switch to the pencil tool. Pencil tool is similar to the solid brown brush in Photoshop. So I use this to add the colors. Um, you know, similar to Photoshop, it tends to be a bit rough. So after I input what I need to put down, I try to add the colors and whatnot, and then I switch to the watercolor to blend it in. Okay, let's go to airbrush, select that. I'm gonna go for this type of color. Actually, let me switch back to pencil. I'm going to be adding a slight bit of highlight tone just to break up, to ease the shadow. You can say it's a little bit of a filler color or reflective color. I'm going to go into color contrast to do a bit of experimenting, sliding the sliders and seeing what I can get out of it. Let's go with this color. I'm gonna see if it'll fit. If I add a little bit of shine to Bowser's hair, I don't think it works that well, but I'll give it a try. Not too well. It's not too bad either. I think I can play around with the color some more, but I only wanted this part to be affected by it. Do a little before and after. Let's zoom, sorry, not zoom, but merge down. Going into the watercolor again. Gonna see if I can basically blend it in a bit more. And then flip. Go back to the pencil. Go back to the pencil and work on adjusting the hair. I want to see if I can improve the look of his hair. Zoom out, flip. I'm gonna separate this batch of hair in two and see if that will help with the flow of his hair. And it doesn't seem to be working that well. Let's zoom out real quick. Zoom back in. Zoom back out. Zoom back in. Sorry, it's a lot of zooming back out. And the reason why is because there's no way for me to have like a secondary window of this. And the small preview that this program does come with has a limit to how big you can make it. So the biggest preview is about this big, which is not big enough for me. So that's why I'm like zooming out and zooming in. It's important for me to do that at least, because I have to make sure that, it reads well, zoomed out somewhat. But in Photoshop, we can have a secondary windows, all that. So I don't do what I'm doing in this program. It's a little bit different to get used to. But yeah, we'll make it work. Zoom out again. Zoom in. Okay. I'll continue to render it out a bit more. Let's go ahead, grab a bit of the environment color, which is the blue, and we'll just add it onto the hair. After we add it in, go back to the watercolor and somewhat blend it in. Use the pencil tool. Alright, that should do it. Let's go move on to the shorts. There we go. So for the shorts, I'm gonna create a new layer, clip group, use the airbrush, and let's put it on multiply and use a slightly blue tint shadow, and I'll just brush on the shorts so that I can have a nice gradient, and then merge down. The reason why is just to frame Peach's pants better, I guess. Since her pants is quite bright, I wanted to create a more of a contrast between of whatever's behind her, so I wanted to darken Bowser's shorts a bit. So after that, we'll just zoom in and start by blending the shadows in more with the watercolor. Zoom in and we'll just blend. It's kind of fun. Almost done. Just a bit more. I guess I'll try to do a bit of fold around the pocket. This brush once again is a little tricky to get used to, but I'll get a hang of it after a while. So pressing hard on your brush with this brush right here allows me to kind of paint with the color you selected, and then you press lightly to blend. And also a smaller brush, I find it easier to actually put down color with. If it's a big brush, it's good for blending. I mean, the size of the brush, I mean. Go back in with the pencil tool. Zoom out real quick. Okay, back to this side. And we'll just quickly put down some guide for the folds that I'm planning to do with the pencil tool, and then I'll blend it in with the airbrush. See if this is a little faster. I think it is. Let's grab some of the environmental color. Put it on the shorts. The outer edge of the shorts, that is. Go back to the watercolor and I'll try blending that in somewhat. I'll use the lasso tool and then combine with the airbrush, customize the shadow. Like that. And then I'll take a bit of the blue and then color the outer edge of the shorts. Go in with the watercolor and then somewhat blend it, smooth it out. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to use the lasso tool once again and copy. Just gonna darken that area in particular. And blend the rest in. Merge down, top. Let's go ahead and work on the top. Let's grab this color. And I'm just going to put it towards the portion of him that is catching a light. And then just add some slightly darker color onto the shadow. Let's grab a bit of the blue and we'll just highlight the silhouette of the tank top slightly with it. Use the watercolor to blend in that rim light. Add some of the rim light towards the other side of his top. And then use the watercolor to blend in. Zoom out. Zoom out, and I'm gonna try to just blending the upper portion of the tank top in. Let's zoom in. I'm going to add a border to his tank top. Same with this side. Next, I'll just copy the top portion, actually top portion, and then I'll copy some parts of the lower portion, especially the area that's catching a bit of highlight. And then I will increase the lighting for it. Or maybe it has to be dark, or it's not gonna read that well. Maybe I just keep it dark like that. Oh well, let's go with that. Next up is the hat. The hat is mostly done anyways. Maybe just need slight bit. I'm gonna fix the shadow for the horn only because I know I'm gonna change the horn shape a bit later. But other than that, color, enhance, make it darker, and then using the airbrush, brush on a bit of the surrounding color, which is warmer in tone. Make a small brush. Gonna go over these areas with a bit of bright color. As for the cap, let's go ahead and add a slight bit of highlight, not too much though. Let's reduce that. Grab a bit of highlight. I'll just highlight the rings on his hat and stuff. Let's do some hue saturations. Let's go for this. I think that should be it. Yep, that's a lot better. I think I might do a bit more work off camera, but all in all, that's pretty much it for Bowser. I'm actually gonna darken the band around his arm and stuff. But yeah. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next voiceover. Have a great day or night, guys. Bye.